Coming up, the Department of Defense is facing massive cuts across the board as a result of the Budget Control Act beginning January 2nd, and that means layoffs and bad press for the Democrats. But the White House is hoping to change that. According to current law, defense contractors are required to give 60 days notice before a major layoff. The Labor Department says they're waiving that law because there's too much uncertainty. But if you do the math, 60 days before January 2nd is November 2nd, 4 days before the election. For more, I'm joined by Ford O'Connell, a former McCain campaign advisor. Ford, is it just, serendipity that this is happening?
This is election year politics at its finest, and potentially the textbook definition of political irony for President Obama. The WARN Act, instituted in 1988 at the behest of big labor, basically says that most companies have to inform their employees of workforce cuts 60 days before they are, likely to happen. And frankly, President Obama doesn't want these notices to go out because it could sway his situation at the ballot box.
Is this legal? Can he get away with it? I mean, it's a law. You're supposed to give the notice.
There is some interpretation out there. Companies are most likely going to put out the notifications because not only on top of this sort of federal WARN Act, there's a lot of state requirements as well. And companies really don't want to get caught in this. But there is a lot of election year politics to it because essentially what President Obama and the Democrats don't want to do is wind up losing the bargaining chip over these cuts, because when folks find out that we're talking about entitlements versus jobs, guess what? That doesn't look good for President Obama.
I think we're talking about something on the order of 1 million jobs. Some of these
1 to 2 million potentially.
And some of these cuts have already started. It's one of the reasons the economy is not doing as well as it could. But, why isn't Congress doing anything about this? Both sides of the aisle say they want to do something. And yet here we are, August, people going on vacation, la-di-da. There's no urgency in Washington that I can see.
Well, first of all, Congress doesn't want to do anything about this because they want to know what the final makeup of next year's Congress is so that they know where their pieces are when it comes to actually bargaining. But remember, Congress is going on a vacation, and they really shouldn't, and they can't justify it. But at the same time, it's not really a vacation, because what's going on here is in the United States House of Representatives, there's 70 competitive seats. And essentially, if they don't go back home and re-campaign for this, guess what? We don't know which party could have it. In the Senate, we also have 10 seats up. So they're not really on a vacation. They're trying to figure out how much balance of power is going to be in Congress when they come back in for next year as well.
I don't need any more campaigning. I need some work to get done, Ford.
I agree with you, but this is the nature of the political game. Guess what? You need to have a seat when the music stops, and this is how we're going to determine this. What's
Ford,
that?
I said so much work to do. There's so many things on the table, but we will have you back to talk about that. Thanks for coming on tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Jerry.
You're most welcome.